everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the extraordinary honor and pleasure of chatting with Carsen Richards. Yay! Carsen is taking a moment out of an extraordinarily busy schedule for such a young fellow, and he's with us in spite of the fact of being exhausted, so very grateful for that. But Carsen, we'll hear the whole story, but tell us, how did you get started in music and particularly on bass?
Yeah, so I didn't really grow up in like a super musical family. My dad and my brothers, we'd always like pick the guitars laying around the house. They'd have some laying around, but like no one ever took it seriously. Grew up listening to country music in the truck and grew up on a farm, so it was kind of a big thing in our family. Just we all loved music, but nobody really played an instrument. Freshman year of high school, when I was 14, I kind of got into the music community on YouTube and kind of discovered bass in the bass community. And I was like, everybody, they play guitar and no one plays bass. And, I wanted to be different, but I also thought bass is cooler.
Yeah.
I just kind of got the urge to, I wanted to play bass just for a hobby. I didn't really want to go anywhere with it, but I dragged my dad into Guitar Center, had him buy me a bass and a little amp, and kind of went from there.
Well, and with that, how did you continue to learn? Did you take classes? Are you self-taught?
I'm mainly self-taught. I locked myself in my room for like 8 to 12 hours a day, kind of doing lessons on YouTube and just kind of naturally learning how to play, just technique and scales and all that. And then, just trying to learn by ear my favorite songs. Nothing crazy. And then I did that for a while, kind of learned the basics. And then I took private lessons for a while, for a few months, from this guy named Jason Hale in Kentucky. He was a Nashville studio dude. He did a lot of touring and stuff with bluegrass, country acts. So yeah, mostly self-taught, but did some lessons, learned Nashville numbers and all that.
Nice. Well, and a lot of people that practice in the privacy of their home and in their room and all that don't manage to network and get outside of that. You have actually connected with quite the community, and again, you're playing with Chase Matthew among other acts, so you're as busy as can be. How did this all come about?
I'm a big believer in social media, especially today, because how else is some 16-year-old kid going to get seen from his room in Kentucky in a small town? So I kind of started in the bar scene in Kentucky. I grew up playing in church, like 16 to 17. Kind of did that for a while, a year or two, until COVID. And I quickly got bored of that. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to go big with it. I don't want to be stuck in the bar scene forever. So I decided that I was going to move to Nashville. And right before that, I went on the Brantley Gilbert country music cruise, and I met a lot of cool people on there. Did some networking right before I moved to town. Then I got down here, did the Broadway scene a little bit, went to as many shows as I could, met as many people as I could, just watch somebody set, go up to them and talk to them for a bit. And, you follow people on social media. If you're lucky, they follow back, and, you kind of build little steps here and there. And eventually people kind of start to know your name if they see you everywhere. Mm-hmm. So I think you just gotta be there at the right time and right place.
Gotcha. Well, and how did the whole Chase Matthew gig come up?
Mm-hmm. Also through social media, which is why I'm a big believer in it. Yeah. My brother had kind of showed me this dude named Chase. He was kind of blowing up on TikTok. He had this song, County Line. I followed him on Instagram, and a few days later I saw him post on his story that he was looking for a bass player. And at this time, I was kind of in a low spot. I was feeling discouraged, didn't have much work, losing money on expensive rent. But he posted he was looking for a bass player. I knew it was a long shot, but I sent him a message and, just kind of sent a short resume of things I did. And I'm new to town. And he got back with me, said he'd be interested in having me for a rehearsal. And I went in and, just locked into the music, listened to it for weeks and weeks, showed up and played it. And, we kind of clicked right there. And, it's been crazy ever since. That was back in November.
Wow.
So I'm fairly new with him, but it's going great so far.
Nice. Well, it is certainly a whole new dynamic when you look at the music, because I talk to so many people, and in so many instances, being in the right place at the right time, when you're in a place like Nashville, there are so many musicians, and there's so many talented people, and there's, when they're putting together an act, they have so many choices.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's difficult to break in, and the same is true for like New York. I mean, you can have some incredible musicians, but there's so many that, for them to get heard or to connect, it's difficult. LA, kind of same deal, and it's a lot of, if you're in the right place at the right time. I remember one of the players I talked to with the Go-Go's. She was approached in the ladies' room by the band, and they're like, "Hey, we just heard your last set. We think you should come play with us," kind of thing. It's you just never know what's going to work. But in this time of social media, it is so different. Your reach is so expansive. And
Absolutely.
How many groups are you still kind of freelancing now, or?
Not as much now as I was, just because I'm on the road so much. I don't have a lot of spare time as much as I did. But there was a time before I moved to Nashville, I was playing with probably 7 to 8 bands at the same time.
Wow.
Bar bands, buddies from high school. I'd show up, be the band leader, run sound, bring my own PA and everything. I was kind of a do everything because I wanted to succeed. I was hungry and still am. Just do anything and everything. And I'm really glad I did that. It kind of just helped me gain experience to prepare to move to Nashville and not just come in blind. But yeah. Now I'm just mostly with Chase. I do a little studio work on the side here at home.
You have to have a diversified portfolio, definitely.
Absolutely.
And as we talk about sound, what kind of gear are you using? How are you getting your sound?
Yeah, so I'm really influenced by my buddy Tilly Kennedy with Jason Aldean, and that's kind of where I got into Sadowski and Aguilar and all that stuff. One of the first songs I learned to play was an Aldean song. That's kind of what got me into bass. So yeah, I play Sadowski 5-string basses, PJ basses. Here's one of them right here. This is my number one. I take this thing everywhere with me.
You go.
Love it. But Aguilar amps, mostly like DB 412s, 112s, DB 680s. Dean Markley strings, I just teamed up with them recently. They're great guys. Treat me really, really well. Some Fender basses, just kind of Sadowski, Aguilar, Fender type stuff.
Got you. And how about in the realm of pedals? Are you using much?
I'm not using a ton. I do carry a board with me. I've got a Dunlop bass walk, an Aguilar octave pedal, and just a full tone drive. Just add a little bit to poke through, but not much.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sure, and pretty much what was I hearing, it sounds like you're very much into kind of more the contemporary country kind of vibe. I'm not sure that would call for a lot of pedals or distortion
right.
or anything like that.
There's not a ton. Most of what I use is just subtle stuff to add kind of color, mostly live too. Sometimes I'll record with maybe a driver or add the wah, but mostly just clean tone, Sadowski straight into Aguilar live. Most of what we do is country rock. A lot of the new stuff, we're doing some heavier stuff, so it's nice to have that 5-string and add the drive in when you want. It's cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it is part of the evolution of the music because, and that's why as I was listening to some of it, I was going, I'm acquainted with country. The lines have blurred with so many things, and you're right. And I think it's healthy because it draws in kind of some of the external influences. But for people that are purists, they'll go, well, that's not, it's not bluegrass. It's not Hank Williams, but but it is still falling within this realm.
It's funny you say that. The whole time I was starting playing, that's all I ever heard was country ain't the same as it used to be. It's not Hank Williams, it's not Alan Jackson, George Strait. I'm like, yeah, all that stuff is great, but it evolves over time, and there's different areas of country music, and there's something for everyone. And I like to play as many different styles as possible.
Totally. Well, and it has to speak.
I love it all.
It has to speak to people now, which is again part of what you're trying to do. I mean, and there are certainly universal topics that people can relate to, but time changes. I remember back in the day, there was I think it was quite a while where some of the country songs had a lot to do with long distance truck driving and stuff. And you kind of go,
yeah,
you don't hear as much about that anymore.
Right.
Still happens, but it's not as much of a current thing. Now we've moved on to, and even I think there was a line in one of Chase tunes about Instagram followers, and I'm kind of going, okay, well that is very contemporary. Was it County Line? There's a bit about that. I'm like, this is for people now that get that are not going, well, what's that Instagram thing? What's he talking about? So
it's funny. It appeals to the younger crowd. You talk about TikTok, Instagram, all the new stuff. It's just it's the way music evolves.
Got you. And if anything, what would you attribute I'll call it your contemporary success, because you're in demand, and obviously the people you're working with are enjoying working with you, because the chemistry is probably the most important part. I mean, you can be
absolutely
the best musician on the planet, but if folks can't get along with you, you're not going to work. That's the sad, unfortunate truth. But what would you attribute your popularity to?
I always tell people there's probably thousands of other bass players here in town that are better than me. But, I feel like I work really hard. I try to do the music justice, make the artist happy, and just be a personable person. It's nice to be a great hang. Don't be a butthole. That's one of the major things. But yeah, if you're traveling on a bus with 12 dudes, you don't want to be the person that nobody likes. I've worked really hard, almost nonstop, for about 4.5 years, and just trying to do everything I can.
Nice. And as we look forward, what's in the works? What plans do you have going on?
Obviously, I want to keep doing this. I want to, tour more full time, and also I want to get more in the studio scene too. I love creating some more Nashville sessions whenever I'm in town. Yeah, just like more touring, more of it, bigger and bigger, kind of go up the ladder,
Got you. And with that, I know Chase has a whole tour planned out here, the extended tour, Born for This. And so that's going to be running this year.
Yeah, so that's the new album that we just released in February. This is the extension of the tour. We started the tour in the first week of January. Played my first arena show in my home state of Kentucky, which was crazy. That was really, really cool. So yeah, we've extended this tour until about the end of July, and then I think we're going to do another fall tour. So it's been a really busy year, but busy's good. It's where I want to be, And then next year I think is going to be even bigger.
Nice. Well, and kind of dropping back to that very same topic, your first arena tour. Tell us how was that? That must have been a real experience.
It was a major accomplishment in my life, I would say. I actually grew up. I used to race motocross, like dirt bikes, and I grew up racing in that very arena. And then, this many years later, I played my first arena show in that arena. So yeah, we've done about 4 of those so far. We recently played here in Nashville at the Municipal Auditorium, sold out both nights. It's surreal, I never expected to go as far as I have. When I started playing, like I said, I just wanted it to be a hobby. I never even wanted to play in front of people. But as my bass teacher said, I got the music bug for sure. It bit me.
There you go. Well, it's so good to hear that it's working out and everything's going smooth. If people want to stay on top of what you're doing, where's the best place for them to look?
Yeah, so I'm mostly active on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and it's just at Carsen Richards Bass. So yeah, I try to post a lot about traveling shows. It's hard sometimes to stay updated with everything just because you're so busy, but I like to show what I'm doing.
Excellent. Well, Carsen, so great for you to take a little bit of time to share with us your story, all of these details. We wish you much continued success, and we're looking forward to hearing great things coming down the pike from you. Folks, you've seen him here on Bass Musician Magazine, Carsen Richards.
Thank you. Appreciate it. you.